Hello, everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium on Thursday, October 9th, 2014. We're in that month that things always seem to happen. And as a matter of fact, things are happening. There's a couple of very interesting stories that are kind of a little bit below the radar, but nevertheless, they're important stories. They were shared with me by a Mr. EO, we'll call him using his initials. And these are very important stories. One of them has to deal with what I've been calling our GMO scrapbook on the website. This is a story, incidentally, reported by RT. The headline is Billion-Dollar Lawsuits Claim GMO Corn Destroyed U.S. Exports to China. So I want to read you a bit of what this article says before I get on to the second one and comment about this one. It states, quote, at issue is Syngenta. This is the big European GMO foods manufacturer. At issue is Syngenta's 2009 release and distribution of its MIR 162 genetically modified corn known as Agrosure Viptera, which is engineered to fend off certain insects which are known to decimate corn crops. While approved for use in the United States, Chinese regulators have yet to sanction the export of Viptera. Syngenta is responsible for destroying the export of U.S. corn to China, the suit says, which led to, quote, depressed prices for all domestic corn, unquote, according to Volnek Farms, the plaintiff in a lawsuit filed in Omaha, Nebraska in federal court. Volnek and others are claiming $1 billion in compensation. The other two suits were filed in Iowa and Illinois federal courts, according to Courthouse News. In addition to seeking monetary claims, the Nebraska and Iowa suits seek to enjoin Syngenta from cultivating and marketing MIR 162 or Viptera. In addition to alleging the destruction of the U.S. corn export market to China, the Iowa plaintiffs, Cronin Incorporated and Jim Ruba Jr., who say they do not even plant genetically modified corn, claim that Syngenta offered, quote, materially misleading statements relating to the approval status of MIR 162 in China and the impact of the lack of approval would have on markets. Syngenta's widespread contamination of the U.S. corn and corn seed supply with MIR 162, which will continue to foreclose the U.S. export market in China in future years and will continue to lead to lower corn prices per bushel in the U.S. market as a result, close quote, the Iowa plaintiffs said. Now, this is really interesting to me, folks, because it's indicating another aspect of what I've been arguing on the website from time to time, that the GMO issue, I think, is slated to become a major international and geopolitical issue, and that in my reading of the situation previously, I've been arguing that the BRICS blocks, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and probably soon to be Argentina, that the BRICS bloc has a golden opportunity to make the GMOs a major international issue and pushing their own heirloom seeds, natural seed products on the global agricultural market, which would certainly be a challenge to the Western agriculture and agribusiness giants. And in that, let's remember something else that's been emerging that I've covered on the website in the GMO issue, and that is that GMOs, over time, the yields fall because as Mother Nature adapts faster than we can engineer the GMO crops, farmers have to spray more and more pesticides and so on. So yields fall, costs go up, and really, in the long term, it doesn't appear to have that much of a financial benefit to farmers or agribusiness anyway. So, in other words, uh, by pushing this GMO issue, the BRICS nations could challenge very seriously a major portion of the Western economy. These lawsuits, however, are doing something else. They're showing you that independent private corporations, Monsanto, DuPont, Syngenta, and so on, that specialize in GMO foods and sales, that these companies themselves might start suing each other and break down their own market, just as we've seen with these lawsuits now being filed in the United States. Because as that one farmer pointed out, he doesn't even raise GMOs, and yet these are affecting his ability to sell his product on the international market. So this is coming home to roost, folks, like it or not. And it's going to, I think, these types of lawsuits, we're not only going to see them, I'm fully expecting this to happen. We're not only going to see these kinds of lawsuits occur in the United States, we will most likely now begin to see them spread to Canada, Australia, to Latin America, and probably to Europe. In other words, to other major agricultural production centers. And that's going to be a huge, huge story. So watch that one, folks. Now, there's another story that Mr. Eos shared with me earlier this week, and I put it into my finals pile very early on because this is a huge story. And this article appeared in USA Today on the 7th of October, so in other words, not too long ago. And the headline here is, quote, China currency push takes aim at dollar, unquote. Now listen to what's really going on here. This is from beginning in the second paragraph of the article, quote, the issue of whether the Chinese should be part of the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights, and those are called, for those of you who aren't familiar in the financial markets, those are called SDRs. They stand for special drawing rights. The composite reserve currency used in official financing. Let me repeat that. That's one huge statement. The composite official currency used in official financing is highly technocratic. But the political questions at stake go to the core of world money and power, and will be discussed in the background at the annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank in Washington this week. The decision on a new SDR structure to be made in the next 15 months will influence how China and its currency can play a bigger part in driving world trade, investment, and capital flows. The renminbi could eventually challenge the dollar and its pivotal position in world money, which is why the U.S. government and Federal Reserve are examining this with intense interest. China is unlikely to mount a campaign to enter the SDR, or the special drawing rights, grouping the main reserve currencies. Now, here comes a key point. The SDR is a group or a basket of currencies around the dollar, the euro, and their parenthesis here, linking countries in the European Monetary Union led by Germany and France, the Japanese yen, and the British pound. So it's the dollar, the euro, or basically the French and German economies, the British pound, and the Japanese yen. That's what the special drawing right is. It's a unit of account, very much like what you saw the bankers back in the Italian Renaissance were using special units of account on their books to convert international currencies one to the other. So in other words, it was a completely abstract currency that wasn't openly traded by people paying money or coins for this or that object in their purchases. It was a unit of account that allowed banks to shift monies from one bank to the other. All right, that's what these SDRs are, and China wants to become a part of it. So in other words, by becoming part of that, China enters this international tapestry of finance. Now, the article points out something else, and this is down toward the bottom of the article. It says, quote, an additional factor is China's own action to galvanize emerging market economies toward reforming world monetary arrangements. This includes the five-nation BRICS group's decision to set up the new development bank in Shanghai, potentially challenging the IMF and World Bank. As the number 2 world economy after the United States, China believes it is close to earning the status of a reserve money, the first time that an emerging market currency would attain this position. Chinese entry into the magic circle has been advanced, and recall this, we talked about this in a blog on this website previously, has been advanced by the British government's September decision to issue renminbi or Chinese currency denominated bonds, the first big government to take such a step, and to allow the proceeds to be held as reserves by the Bank of England, unquote. Now, let me tell you what is really interesting here. What I think is really interesting is, number one, you have on the one side China's participation in the BRICS bloc and its advocacy for the establishment of their own World Development Bank, hopefully eventually to rival the IMF. But at the same time, pardon me, they want to be admitted into the SDR basket of currencies, these special units of account that are abstract currencies being used to tailor world opinion. Now, what this means, and here's my high octane speculation of the day. What this means is I suspect that you are beginning to see, and I actually suspect that this process actually began some years ago. But I suspect now, with China pushing for this, that you're eventually going to see the other BRICS bloc nations who have worked out these bilateral currency trade agreements with China to conduct their trade in direct renminbi swaps. All right. That will be the leverage by which those currencies are more or less kind of in the background, leveraged into the SDR, into the special drawing right, this unit of account. Now, the interesting thing, the interesting possibility then that this opens up, and for those of you who have been following Secretary Catherine Austin Fitz's financial analyses, particularly in the last 2 quarters, this will interest you, because I suspect that what this means is that they might be taking the steps to convert the special drawing right itself, this unit of account that is used on the books between central banks, that they might be taking steps to convert the special drawing right, or SDR, into a new actual global currency. All right. Now, all of that's going to take time. It's not, it's not going to happen tomorrow, folks. So don't run out and say the sky is falling, the banksters are at it again. That's not what it means. What it does mean is, I do think that they're taking some long-term steps now to begin the process of converting to a global currency. So this is a huge story. Watch China, watch the SDRs, watch the IMF and World Bank very carefully and what they decide to do about that. That's it for my high octane speculation of the day, everybody. This has been Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium. This is Thursday, October 9th. We'll see you on the flip side. God bless everybody.